Hi guys, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to look at creating Authentication State Provider to support our .NET 8 WebAssembly e-commerce app. This is going to be the 10th video so far on this e-commerce series. So if you haven't watched any of these videos, please check the video description. I'll put the links over there waiting for you. You can also do any of the following to support this channel. You can subscribe and also hit on the notification bell to receive updates as soon as I upload a new content. You can like this video by also clicking on the thumbs up icon. You can buy me coffee to support this channel. If you want to do that, please check the video description. The link is over there. Thank you in advance for selecting any of these. And you know, I always say I love you so much if you're able to select all. I do offer training sessions to interested people of Blazor, .NET MAUI and our MAUI Blazor Hybrid and also Web API services. If you want to learn any of this, please check the description and I have the email that you can write me through it. Let's jump into what we started. In the previous video, that's the part 9, we created our authentication system, that's the authentication service, which gives us the access to the token and also set claims, get token from the local storage, and also set token to the local storage. Aside from that, it grabs the token from the local storage, append it to the HTTP header, so you can make a call with it. Now, in this video, we're going to have a look on creating Authentication State Provider to support this. Now, Authentication State Provider is going to help us in navigating through pages, and it's going to actually check before you navigate, are you authenticated or not? What are the features that an authenticated person can see? And what are the features that a person who is not authenticated cannot see? It is the work of this Auth State Provider to do that. We're going to create a separate class that is known as a customized Auth State Provider, which is going to inherit from this Auth State Provider. And it's going to implement or we're going to use the class that we created in the previous video. Let's get into it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create our custom Auth State Provider. So let's close all these. These are the tabs that we opened in the previous video. I'm going to save all. Now I go back to Solution Explorer and I can see from the client section, this authentication folder, we are going to add one class. And the name here is going to be an Auth State Provider. That is a custom Auth State Provider. In that, it's going to inherit from Authentication State Provider. So we have to inherit from this. And now this Auth State Provider comes from component, let's see, it comes from this package, Microsoft.ASP.NETCODE.component.authorization. So we have to install this package. Let's install that. So with this, I just have to install package, then find and install latest. So you wait for this to get installed. So while it is installing, we are going to create an anonymous for claim principal. This anonymous is going to be used anytime a response returns null. We have to surround it with a try catch, so we can be using the Auth State section or the Auth State class that we created. Now you can see from here that we have this Authentication State Provider. It has its own abstract class that we can implement. So control period, you have to implement this abstract class, and that is get Auth State. So let's implement this first, and that is a get authentication state async. You create anonymous for this. Now what we're going to do next here is we're going to use try catch block to handle while we try to access the authentication state of a user. How are you going to handle this? We're going to handle this by first, so let's make here as an async. We're going to use this authentication state service that we created. We're going to get user detail. This get user detail is going to call an API, and this API is going to append the HTTP request. It's going to append the header to it. As soon as it gets to the API, it extracts the header, verify it, make a call, and I return a user info to this. So that's what we are storing it here. The return here is an user session, which comprises of the email, the name, and now the row. Let's include this service here. And with the new feature of C# version 12, we can use primary constructor instead of injecting it and initializing it on top here. Very simple one. Okay, so we have it. Now we check if the response of this is null, or email here is null. It means you want to return the anonymous one, which is a new instance of this claim principal, and it tells you that there is no identity. The person currently it is not registered. But in case it is not something, it has data. What are we doing? We create a claim principal. Then you can see we are setting up the claim principal. If I peep this definition, you can see here it takes in the user session module, that is a response from the API, and also it creates an instance of a claim principal. Then you can see we are setting it over here for name, email, and row, and I return a claim principal. So as soon as we click on this or we save this, it is returning a claim principal. Aside from that, we return this authentication state, then we pass in this claim principal. So the instance that we created here now it has data. So it means the user is not authenticated. In case we have any error or you have any issue trying to get this, we want to return anonymous. It means that the person or the connection couldn't go through and the person by then wouldn't be authenticated. Aside from this, what if in case I log in and I want to update this? Is it possible? Yes. This method gets executed anytime the page is redirected to another page. From one page to another page, this method gets executed. If we want to update the token, what can we do? We can also create another method in here, and this is going to take a payload of token property. If you've watched that's the video 9, part 9, you know what I'm talking about. This token property here, it is the property that, or there is a model that we are converting into a JSON string, and I'm saving it to the client browser local storage. It contains only two properties known as the refresh token and now the access token. So that is what we're going to use here to send an API request to the API, the controller, to retrieve the data of this current user. So in that, we're also going to create an instance of this claim principal in here. And now we're going to check if this is null. It means the user wants to log out. So if this is null, we want to log out. And this is the state that we are doing. So that as soon as you call this method and pass in null, it means you want to log out. So we say that if token property is not null, or if the token here it is not null, token property in this token model is not null, that is when we want to perform this. Else, what do you want to do? Else, we want to remove the token from the local storage. Okay, so we're going to pass in else. We want to remove the token from the local storage. And this authentication service contains a method known as remove auth token from the local storage. We create an instance of this. We set this claim principal that we have here to anonymous. This anonymous is what we are using as an initial over value here, instance here. Now, if token is not null, what are we doing? So first of all, we want to set it to local storage. So this is what we are doing first. After setting it to local storage, what are we doing? We want to get user details. Get user details is going to call a service, whereby this service is also going to call an HTTP client. And this client, before we get a client, it's going to get the token from the local storage and append to the header. When you check the definition for this, it tells you the same thing. So you can see from here that we have this method. It's get the token from the local storage. Aside from that, it calls a method to add a header, that's authorization to the HTTP client. Then it makes a call in here. So get user detail from API, and now this method here also going to make a call. So if I people on, you can see it is making a call to this API account and a user info. We did this in the previous video. Now after getting the user details from the page, we also check if it is not null. If the request is not null, what do you want to do? We want to set claims, because by then data will be received from the API. So the data that we are going to receive, we want to set it to the claims in here, claims principal, get the user session from the API, and now set it in here. Now the instance that we created here, that is what we are storing the output of this in here. And at the end of the day, we are going to notify state has changed. So anytime a call is being made to the API and now the data is being retrieved, we're going to set the principal to this, and now we're going to notify the state to get re-rendered, and as again, we're passing the claim principal in here. So you pass in now of this token property model, and now it's going to remove from the local storage. You pass in a model with an instance with a value, and now it's going to update it. So we're going to use this for login, and we're going to use this for logout. You pass in a model value, it's going to be for login. You pass in a model with an empty value, it's going to be for logout. See, so we have a one method which is going to serve two purposes. Okay, so we have this custom Auth class created nicely. The next thing I'm going to do here is we have to register this custom Auth state in the program.cs file. So let's save this. We go to solution. Now the client section, we go to program.cs file. And now in here, we have to register this custom Auth state to this Authentication State Provider. So now we have this, we have to create our login and our register component. So we can be calling this method in it anytime we try to log in. So let's go to solution. The same client, we see our pages, open it. Let's add another page to this, and this is going to be account pages. You can name it any name that you want. So new folder, and I'll say account pages. Now with this account page, what we're going to do here is we are going to add one page or two pages. The first one is going to be register. So let's create a page in here. And I will say this is register component. So that's the register page. And now in that registration page, we want to specify the routes in here. So first of all, we need to use the route. And that's identity/account/register. This is my customized route. You can also do yours. Now aside from that, let's create an instance of this user so we can be using it in our model. We have this, and that's going to be for user. We create an instance of this. Control period, we have to include the namespace of this model. So we have to add a model in here. What I'm going to do here, we can just cut this. We save this, go to the import, and now paste it in there. So you can use it globally, the whole application, this client section. So we have an import, and now in here, let's include the DTO here. Okay, so now we have this register page, and it's supposed to work. Okay, now let's create our edit form. Now this edit form is going to handle only user data for registration. So we can put it top here. What are we doing? We have an edit form, and now this edit form, this is the model as user. This is our valid submit. We have these two guys here to check for validation. We have our class form group, and you can see we have this label and our input text. You can see we have this as name, email, password, which is the password type. And also we have confirm password, and it's the same thing over here using an input element. And here we are having this show save button. We did this in the previous video. That's a part 2 of this, showing a button. So this is a show busy button. As soon as I click on register, I must have at least something to tell the user that there's a process going on. So I created this component, and that's what we are using in here. So you can see we have this message dialog service that show save button. And now this is the button itself, which has a type as submit. We have to create definition for this handle registration method. Now with that, we can just create it down here. So if I click on this, I want to handle this. That's the syntax of handle registration. Now with that, what am I doing? We have to include, when you check this, maybe you'll be asking yourself where from this message dialog service. That's in the part 3 or 4. we created a service that we can handle to display message dynamically. So when you check the import, you can see we added the message dialog service in there. So that's what we're using to display message to the user. So when the page loads, we have to subscribe to this because we're going to have a message dialog action service that we need to subscribe to this event. So in here, register page, when the page loads, you make sure you subscribe to this. Now we have to implement iDisposable so that when the page is dying out, we also unsubscribe from that event before the page dies out. So in here, we can now use when the page public void dispose, we can now unsubscribe. Now since we are using plus here, it means you can also use minus to unsubscribe from this, and that is it. Aside from that, we need to include our message component that we created earlier on, so we can use the display message show pop-up to the user. Now aside from that, when the page loads, and now when I click on this save or register, first of all, we want to hide the save button, and that's the save button. You want to hide this. We want to show the busy button. So we want to show this and I'll hide this. How much time are we hiding? We are hiding for this process to be done. And so we're going to copy this. We call this endpoint account service.register. Where from this account service, we have to now create a register this account service. So let's go back to the import.register and I'll handle that in there. So when you go to the import, we have in here, we can add in our account service. And that is a service that we created in the video part 9. So we are using this account service and it has a method known as a register in this. Now here we're using the tuple to get and to extract or to get the values or the response explicitly. So we have our flag and we have our message. Now in there, we want to display something to the user. As soon as the person registered, if it goes well or it couldn't, we want to tell the user something. We want to give the user update. So in that, we are going to check with we're going to use if to check. So if flag, meaning if true, if everything is working, we want to set the value as success, and that is the message that's going to come out. We clear the container, but in case it is not, we want to set it as danger, and are passing the message that is coming from the API. Aside from that, there's one method that we need to call, and this method is going to invoke and now raise the JavaScript method to call or to show the dialog box, and that's a set message dialog. If I peep on this, you know it has inbuilt methods, and that is what we did to show. You see, we have set message dialog, and it is showing this message dialog box. It is setting busy button to false, and now setting or show save button to true. And it is invoking an action in here. Okay, so that's all that we need to do for this registration. Now let's do same for the login. So we have to also create our login page and I handle it in this way. So we go to solution. Now the same accounts pages, we right click and I'll add a new component. And now the name of this component is going to be login page. So we have our login page in here. The first to do here is we have to specify our route, and this coming from accounts, identity/account/login. We have to implement iDisposable since we're going to use a message dialog, and we have invocable method in it. So we have to do that. And now when the page loads, we have to subscribe to this as we did in the register page. So we subscribe to this message dialog service. And now when the page is about to die, we have to do same by unsubscribing it using a public void dispose method to do that. Okay, so now we have this, we need to create an edit form. So our edit form is going to handle this, and we have only two properties in the login, and that is for email and password. So that's what we have in here. Edit form, we have it. Data annotation for checking up and errors in there. We have a handle login. Okay, we have an email, we have a password. And it's the same thing that we did in the section, that's the registration, show the save button. So after doing this, the next thing that we're going to do here is we need to create and instantiate a model. And this model is going to be the user model. So with that, we're going to have login DTO. Then we're going to have our user, which, and you can see we assign it to a new. Let's close this. And now let's open it again. Okay, so you can see we have it in here. Now there's a button handle login. So if I click on handle login, what am I doing? We can just handle this. So this is what we are doing down here. You can see that we have this account service.login. We call this. Now we show message dialog. As you can see from here, we set this to false, and now we show the busy button. Now in case this is true, that is the result.flag is true, what are we doing? We are calling this Auth State Provider. That's the class that we created. And now in that, we are updating a method in it that we created. And now that updating, you can see we are passing in this token. So let me just put this here. We are populating the token for the results and also the refresh token because it is coming for this token property. So control period, we can include the namespace in here. Custom auth state, we can also include the custom auth state on the header. So we have to use Authentication State Provider, and we can do that from the import. So down here, let's include our Authentication State Provider, and also let's include a navigation manager. Okay, so here it is coming from namespace here that we just created. So it is coming from Microsoft.ASP.NETCode.component.authorization. So we can now check from the login page that we have everything working as expected. And so this is what we're doing because we are calling this method. Now pass in the token and then the refresh token in here. Aside from that, we want to navigate to this page and now force reload. We force reload so that I can just reload the custom auth state. So we can pass in the claims that we have from an API that we called and also authenticate the user. Okay, so once we have this set, the next thing we're going to do here is we have to save this and use cascading authentication state provider to surround the route components. So let's go to the same client section. You can see we have this app.razor. Now in here, we're going to make this as authorized route view. So don't forget authorized route view. And now on top here, let's use cascading authentication state. So we can surround it with this. Okay, so that's what we need to do. So after doing this, then let's navigate to an app bar so we can display maybe information there for the user. Hello guest, hello username. Then we can display in there. So go to layout and you can see we have this navigation bar that we created in the first video. Now here where we have this brand, we are going to add something in here. And in that we can display the name of the user. If not authenticated, then we can display something like hello guest, right? So maybe you can display hello guest normally. So let me paste this here, and you can see it's an HTTP that we're using, and you can see it's an authorized view. And if it is authorized, display the name. If not, then display guest. And also after doing this, you can see we have this drop down from the section, and this for accounts. As you can see, there's a drop down, and you can see we have a default one for the bootstrap. So we want to remove this and now include our own, and now this is what we are creating in here. Let's have a look. So it's just a URL. That's another list that we have as a drop down, and if you are authorized, as you can see, we want to display this logout. And if you're not authorized, then we want to display this register and now login. But to do that, we have a button, and now we navigate to this. You pass in the login in here. Now we do same for the navigate to this, and that's an on click. So that is what we have in here for navigate, and it's going to call. So this is going to render when you are not authorized. Okay, because we have this authorized attribute. That's an authorized component surrounded, and we have this button. So let's define this button, and that's what we have down here. Navigate to the URL, and I can see we have the identity/account. We pass in the URL that's coming in here. Because when you check the route for this login, it's identity/account/login. For registration, the same thing /register. So we can do this to navigate to those components. All right. So before you run this application, I want to make some slight change in here from Solution Explorer. You see from this, the same navigation bar, there is also a link in here that I want to change. And that is if I click on product, I want to navigate to this product, not services, so product. Okay, now I think you are good to go. So let's try to run this application and see what we have now. Okay, so it is ready, but we have an issue here and unable to resolve this. When I know what it's talking about, do you know? We have to include this, the service to Blazor local storage. Quickly, let's go back to the program.cs, and that is for the client, and we have to add, let's make a copy of this. Then in here, it's going to be .add Blazor local storage, and that's all. So we can now run this again. All right, so we can see that the app is now ready, and we have hello guest because we have not authenticated. Now let's see. So let's click on, you see we have this login, we have the register. So let's click on register. Now we have this page. So we're going to pass in some things in here. Let's say this is netcode, right? So there's netcode, and normally the email here is going to be an user because we've registered already, I think so. So there's no need for us to even register, but we can actually try this out. So let's say this is user. Well, let's make that admin at gmail.com. We have a password here as admin at 123. Admin at 123. That's our password, right? So you can see it is the same. Now click on register, and you can see we have processing, and we are waiting to see the account created. That's fine. So this is a dialog box that we have, and you have it type as success. You can see the button and the test here, the success. Click on OK. Now we can go in there and now log in. So let's try to log in, and this time we're going for an email. So this is going to be an admin at gmail.com. Let's see, this is our password. Click on login, and now let's see what happens. So from login, we have logged in, but got it. But as you can see, we did not see that indicator, that busy button. Now you have hello netcode, isn't it? Now to click on this, we see we have logout. Hello netcode, and now this is what logout. That's fine. The next thing here is if I click on product, so there's nothing here, isn't it? But let's say I click on inspect elements, we have to add product to this. Click on console. And it is saying that it does not contain any elements, so that's fine. We want to add product to this. So now let's go to product in here, and now let's add product. So we've done this. I'm going to add multiple products, so I'll come back, and in order to waste time, I'm going to add product. So let's wait for this to get open. As you can see, this is the form. It is opened, and I'm going to add some products in there. Okay, so I just added a few products in here. Now you can see what we have this. If I click on product, we are navigating to the whole product, and you can see that I have logged in here as hello netcode. So we have these categories created, and I can just click on this because we did this in the video 7 or 6. You can just sort them out. You can see we have only Apple iPhones, we have only Samsung phones in here, and we can click on all, get all. We have this recommended product. As you know, we've done this already in the previous video. Now what you're focusing here, it is authentication system. So we are now trying to add a header to make a request. So if I click on add product, let's see, I tried one here and it's working. So let's say I have Samsung maybe Z419, and I'm going to select the image in here. I'm going to choose any image that I have downloaded here, which is only PNG. So the image must be only PNG file. Okay. Now watch here. As soon as I click on save, a product is being called, and this is the post method. Now we see this post method, it has in the authorization, and that is the token that we have created, right? So this is the token. You can see the token is working because we have this product saved. Now let's go to the table, and I'll try to check the token, and I'll set the date. Change the date as an expired. So we can do that from the SQL Server object. We have the token info. I click on this, and I click on view data. And now in the view data, let's wait for this to get pop-up. Then we're going to change the date. So we see this is an expiry date, and that's the token in here. It starts with what? That is here we have ZPD. So ZPD, let's check which token are we using. So this is ZPD TDR, and that's what we use, I believe so. So that is what we are using, isn't it? TDR, that is this. Now this is the expiry date from 19, so we're going to set this to 17, or maybe any day at all. You see we have, so it's set to 19, so let's submit to 10th or 02nd. So second. Now let's save this. If I refresh this, let's see. Okay, so second. Now let's see. Now let's try to make a request again. So I'm going to choose another image from here, and this image could be this PNG. Okay, now I'm going to say Samsung. I don't know, just give it any name. Now watch here, I'm going to clear this, and if I click on save, let's see, so the request is being made from here. Now let's wait and see. Okay, so product saved. Let's click on OK. Now if I click on this, there is the authorization header that we have. Now there is the product that we have in here. Okay, so we are retrieving the product featured, that is 3 and 4, so retrieving all. But here you can see, although the date, the token is not up to the date, it is, let's say, it has expired, but it still works. The reason is we have not implemented that in the session yet. So let's quickly go back again and try to finish that. So let's close this and we go back to our client service. So we have our service. You see when you open this, we have this client service which inherits from all the components or the interfaces. That is for product. It has product, iCategory service, and iUser account service. Okay. Now the method that we have here, not all that we need to protect it. We want to protect only if you want to add product. That is where you need to add a header. Get our product is the default one, so whether you're authenticated or not, you have to still get the product so you can see on the screen. But this must be done by the administrator. So in this, to have access to this, we have to include, let's include the authentication service that we created. So we have to include into the constructor here. Okay, so there's a constructor. We include it here. Okay. Now, when it comes to the page, right, for instance, this add product. In order to protect it, it's very simple. We have to then call the method in it, and I'm trying to use that. So we're going to create a private method in here because we need the HTTP response header. So we need a private HTTP response header from this authentication service. We have this method that we are calling, which get the token from the local storage and append to the header and I return. So we're going to use this, copy this, we're going to use this instead of the default one. We use this here. It is only add. Now when you go to add category 2, we have to do same to it because these are the things that we need token, or we need header, a token in the header. So we go back, this is the category section, and in here we create an instance of this. Let's use this private one and call the method in here. So this is what we are calling. But in order to check for this and I'll get a refresh token, we have to include just the method that we created in it. And that is the method that we created, get user details. So at any time a call is being made, it's going to check if the header contains authorization section and the response here is 401, it's going to generate the refresh token. You're going to make a call to the refresh token. Now we're going to have it. So it's a matter of calling this into any component. So let's go to the add product in here, and now let's also call this here. So this is going to authenticate us. It's going to check everything that we have been preparing for. Now with that, after doing this, what we need to do here is we're going to run this application and let's check it out. So it is now ready. Now, if you right click on this, you go to inspect element, you're going to see that as soon as we finish the registration, the token has been saved into the local storage. So let's check it out. So here, click on this application. Okay, so let's see this application. And I want to check the local storage. We have to get the access token, and that is the token that we have created or recreated. That's a 7KWQ, right? Now when we check this, we must have the same token in here, but if we see that the token here does not correspond with this, so maybe this is what we're going to do. We are going to delete this. Let's also delete this one. Let's go to the browser here, and now what we have in here, let's also delete it. So if you refresh this application, this is going to be guest, not hello netcode, because you are not more. So you can see that we have hello guest in here. Now let's try to sign in to this. So you click on account, then try to log in. Then in here we have an admin, a Gmail. So let's use the user. That is the admin type, and the password here, that is string. So let's see if this is going to get set. Click on login, and now you can see we have processing. Please wait. Now let's check it out. You see we have in here, let's see. So it is still loading. Now when you check the network tab, you can see that a call has been made here, and that is the user info. Now with that user info, you can see that authorization has been added as a header, and there's a token that has been received. When you go to the response, you can see there's the token, there's the name, email, and then the row is the user. So you see we have the row in here. Now when you check the local storage, you can see we have the access token, and that is it. So anytime that we try to refresh this user info will be called again. If I try to refresh this again, let's see what happens. You can see that the user info will be called again, and it's going to get the same data from the endpoint. And that is it. You can see we have it over here, and the same response has been retrieved here. Let's go to the database, and now in here, let's refresh our table. That's the token info. And now we're going to see the data in here, and we are going to modify this. So expiry date is 19th. Let's change this to 10th. So today is 17th, 18th. So you can see from here that the created date is 18th. And now if the expiry date is less than today, it means it has expired. So meaning today, this expiry date is 10th, today is 18th, meaning this has expired. Let's save this. When we refresh this, make sure you keep the date as 10. And also you can see from the access token, the refresh token, you see it start from 30, right? Now let's go back to the app, and now let's clear this. So if I click on, let's refresh this. So when you make a call to the API, it's going to return an authorized. As soon as it gets an authorized and a header has been added, it calls the refresh token endpoint and pass in the header, as you can see. So user info, you can see it's 401, meaning it is unauthorized. So check it over here. It is 401 unauthorized. And there's a header. So as soon as this gets called, and now you can see there's a token. So it gets a refresh token call, and now it passes in the same token. When you check the response in here, it check the payload first. It passes in the refresh token. And now the response from an API, it gives you a new token and then a new refresh token. It stores it, it appends to the new one, and now see we have the information over here. When you check the header, if you see the header of this is JLY. Check the header of this, you can see this is 30, and it's the same. So this means that the refresh token is also working. Now we try to update it. So we can just go back to add category. And it's going to do the same. So with the category, when you go in here and I try to refresh this, now it's going to still update it with a new token. So refresh this. And now you can see from here that you have a new token also in here. And now with the expiry date, we are going to also change the same thing to 10th. Okay, let's save this and refresh this. Let's go in there and try to add category and see what's going to happen. So from this side, I'm going to add a new category. So new category. So with the new category, I'm going to clear everything. Now check, save this. You can see it get its called, and now it is 401 return. Refresh token has been get called, and now you can see we have the status 200. There is a payload. It passing the refresh token. Response is this a new token being added? Call this user info, and now it's able to retrieve it, and now you can see we have saved. So this means our refresh token is working, and it gets executed as soon as a response status code of 401 has been occurred, and that is what it does. All right, so with this, our authentication system is set and done. We have our refresh token, and also we have our auth state token also as well. We're using the access token, and that's what we have. The next to do here is we can try to manage this, hide some buttons, hide some features when you're a user, and also hide some when you are an administrator. We do that when we try to create our components, and then we do the organization. We're going to do them as well. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe too, and hit on the notification bell so you receive updates as soon as I upload a new video. All right, so that is it. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me, a link is in the video description. You can buy me coffee for that, and I'll be much grateful to receive it. All right, so that is it. Thank you, and I'm going to catch you up in the next video.